a marathon, or is it a sprint? Last time it was a long haul to a semi-final seat at the Party Poker European Open 5, but tonight, 6 more sit down in a race with plenty of pace. A 2-time final tableist and former champion will have to contend with one of the top female players in the world, a peppy Patty, and a fan favorite with a WPT title to his name. Don't blink, because they'll be bluffing. The People's Champion from Ireland, Padraig Parkinson's results have been long and storied. Third in the world in 1999, and he's won a tournament in this very format. He's got a wit as sharp as his game.
I'm probably best known for almost winning the World Series quite a long time ago now. I've also won late night poker, I've won European Championship, a few Irish championships, but only in Omaha. I mean, the Hold'em was the one I'd really like to win. I play a lot live, I'm playing a good bit online and play tournaments. I'm a kind of a jack of all trades and definitely a master of none.
Pretty boy William Martin has started to rack up results all over the globe. He's been playing 3 years and made a semi-final in this format his last time out. Englishman Paul Marrow is called the Dice Man, and he doesn't mind playing for rolls. He catapulted to fame with an all-in TV bluff in the recent Irish Poker Championship and should be guaranteed tonight for the crash, bang, and wallop. The Razor Ian Frazer might be the most successful player this format has ever produced. He's won $1 million in poker, and most of it at this very table. East London born and bred, and champion here 3 years ago. Final table last time out.
Over the last 2 years, I've still been winning my heats and getting through the semis and getting into the finals, and I haven't had that little bit of luck to actually go on and win another one. So it's vitally important for me just to prove to myself that I can win them. And I keep saying the fields now, the competition is really fierce. You know, a lot of people call them crapshoots and they're six-handed. It's still, the cream does still rise to the top. And yeah, I want to win as much as anyone.
Vicky Coren sprung a £500,000 win on the poker world a few years ago with an EPT title in London. She's generally considered one of the top lady players on the planet.
I'm in a gambling mood. I'm running a bit late for another game I've got to get to. So although you can never know, you might sit down at the table and everything changes. If I could bet now, I would say the commentators are most likely to say she's being a bit rash and playing too fast.
Surinder Sunar has been here and done that, and is still going strong. The first European to be considered the greatest tournament player in the world, Surinder has a WPT title among his hardware.
People think I'm superstitious, but I'm not really that much superstitious. I mean, I bring good luck charms because they're just there to help me. It's like another front arm for me. This came all the way from India about 2 weeks ago. A friend of mine, Tony, he went there for a month holiday and he said, Surinder, yeah, I got your lucky charm. I said, I'll use this on the European Open.
Well, tonight is what poker should always be about. Plenty of poker and plenty of characters on this table. I'm here with Neil Channing. And Neil, I mean, one guy at this table, Ian Frazer, he is the bar that every poker player has to measure themselves against in this format.
He's the king of the format, isn't he, Jesse? Yeah, unbelievable.
Chips on the table. Yellow chips worth 1,000, blues are 2, reds 5K apiece. There's 100,000 in front of every player and 600.
This is a good game.
Is it as easy as making Ian Frazer the favorite in this heat, or?
No, actually. I thought Surinder Sunar was the favourite in this heat. He's got about 1,000 years experience of playing these things. He was there from the start, late night poker and everything. And I think he knows as much about the format as anyone.
Raised to 6,000 total.
Talking about Surinder Sunar before, I mean, you go way back, Neil. I mean, you know, you go back 20 years ago. Is it fair to say that Surinder was kind of the first European to be considered maybe the greatest tournament player in the world, or at least among them?
Well, he was definitely one of the first European. Him and Devilfish were probably, or maybe even Surinder before Devilfish, the first European that the Americans even kind of considered was any good.
Cool.
You know, generally, particularly when the UK players go over to Vegas, they sneer at us. They look down their noses. They don't give us any respect at all. But Surinder has proved time and time again that he can win in Vegas, and he can beat these guys, and he gets respect over there.
He can also get
6,000.
out of traps. This is a pickle. Top pair for Surinder, the raise before the flop, and the Dice Man, who everyone knows is all action, is flopped bottom set.
Yeah, I mean, Surinder's got to do some money here. It's a question of how much he's going to be able to get away from it.
Raised to
Could be a problem.
19,000.
He is now saying he wants to make this pot big.
I don't think Surinder's going to get him off those kind of hands too easily, though. Especially, you know, while the blinds are low, and then he can, you know, he's only raised him 13 more.
Re-raise to 46,000.
I mean, Surinder knows the Dice Man. Everybody, you know, over in Ireland, they know his reputation. He comes as advertised, the way he's dressed. He'll bluff, he'll play pots. Right now, he's got it.
Yeah, I think it's it's early in the tournament, like you say, it's the second hand of the tournament. Surinder's got top pair, but he could, he's fearing all kinds of things here. I think it's very hard to put Paul on any kind of hand here. He could easily have some kind of hand like 7-8 or something like that.
He comes under criticism sometimes, as you say, for not, not sticking all his chips in when other players were. I mean, right now, isn't he sort of regretting not just sort of calling on the flop and seeing what the turn would have brung? There's a lot of hands that have a lot of equity against him now, which wouldn't have so much equity if a dead card came on the turn.
Pass.
Well, that's true, Jesse. Yeah, I mean, obviously those kind of pair and a draw hands are in that category, but I think he felt that his hand was vulnerable and he had to protect it.
got license. No intention of watching it on the telly. You better
Great
tell him.
spot for the Dice Man. This is a guy, Neil, who shot to fame with a big bluff on Kenna James on TV a few weeks ago, and he loves his poker. In a minute, we'll see if Paul Marrow can continue his run. Can the Dice Man crap out? Stay tuned. Welcome back to the Party Poker European Open 5. Always a pleasure to watch a caliber of this crew on the table. You said that both Parkinson and Surinder, might be expecting this to be tentative. I mean, I don't see that at all. I mean,
Raise
Frazer's a guy who
6,000
gets out of the traps. You've got Diceman on the
Pass.
table.
Pass.
I mean, is it perhaps maybe that chips
Call
will be
that
on
10,
offer?
hold
What's
on, touch
Padraig
this
up to
down.
here? King Deuce under the gun.
Pass.
Yeah, I mean, I was thinking maybe Vicky might start off quite tentatively. Maybe William Martin would be
reverse
cautious
squeeze.
early on. And there's no absolute conclusive proof that Paul Marrow is going to come and crash away early on. I mean, he had a nice hand there where he flopped a set, but he folded his button and he folded this hand quite easily.
Padraig's in a bit of trouble here. Nice flop for Vicky. I mean,
9,000.
it's really interesting about Vicky, Neil, because she has, as far as this format goes, she basically has as much experience as anyone in the world.
Check.
Playing in the Premier League,
Check.
in this format against, you can't argue, the best players in the world. That's a nice card for her.
Yeah, I mean, the turn card was interesting and then it brought Padraig the nut flush draw. But it went check,
14,000.
and now Vicky's
Pass.
going to bet it and pick it up Padraig with no pair. Yeah, I liked her play there. She's out of position, so she decides to just check call the flop. Padraig's obviously going to do a standard continuation bet, having raised pre-flop, and Vicky's able to just pick that one off. But yeah, she's definitely, as you say, she's one of the more experienced players in this format. She played in several series of late night poker. I think she'd admit that she perhaps didn't play. Well, she certainly didn't play as well then as she can play now, and I think she's developed a game in this format, and she's strong at the format.
Yeah, I mean, her game has come on in leaps and bounds, and it's funny. I mean, in the Premier League, wow, here's William Martin. Which is tough. She's had mixed results, but when you obviously take a step
Raise to
downward and just play,
6,000 total.
in heats where it's
Pass.
not 5 of the other 10 best players in the world there,
Pass.
all of a sudden
Call.
things get a lot easier, don't they?
Well, that's true. Although in
back
the
to your
Premier
house again,
League,
Vicky.
I find that
I'm sorry.
Those
Make
one
it up,
tables
amazing.
there's a lot of ego flying around, and people are always
Surinder
trying to
go over your
prove
house.
points to each other and try and demonstrate to the world how they're better than the other players. And
raise.
I think playing a fairly straightforward style in the Premier League can be quite effective. And I think Vicky's done quite well in the Premier League in that she's managed to just not deviate too much from a standard strategy for this one table, whereas some of the other players
It's
are
organic
looking to
pizza
show off
instead.
to each other a bit too much. And I think if she keeps doing that in this table tonight, that'll be the best way forward.
Is Surinder in the process of going broke here? So raise from Martin, cold call from Vicky on the button, and the re-raise from Surinder, understandably with the tens in the...
Yeah, it's a fairly standard situation. Someone's raised, someone's called. You've got two tens. You better try and find out where you are. You haven't really got a lot of chips in this format to be calling and trying to flop sets. Although, early on might be the time that you could do it. There was an argument maybe for him to call,
Re-raise.
just call, but having re-raised, he's asking the question about where he is. He may not know too much about William Martin, and he's looking at someone that's raised from early position.
It could be in the turbo.
I think he's got to give him a bit of respect.
It's 17,000 on Martin. He's announced raise, Pretty Boy has. What is the raise size with the factors involved? Is it just a shove? Yeah, well,
All
that's
in.
what he decided. Is he trying to make it look
Pass.
like Ace King, or is he just trying?
Well, I think if he raises, if he raises less than all in, it's not going to be that much less than all in, so it's effectively all in. I think Surinder's going to hum and ha for quite a long time and throw his hand away. He's well capable of making this lay down, and Surinder, perhaps more than most people, he almost relishes playing a short stack. I mean, he is an excellent short stack player, and he's not afraid to leave himself no chips.
He's also capable of taking his time over his decisions, Surinder. Never one to be hurried, and he uses his time, I think.
Yeah, he likes to think everything through, and we could be here for 20 minutes or so.
Pass.
Must have the fastest brain in poker, Surinder. It's unbelievable.
He has laid it down. Big smile for William Martin. I don't know if he showed him, but I feel good.
If you called, you probably was drawing dead.
Really?
Probably.
Is it
I think he might have been behind,
Yeah, the
but I mean, I
Kings
think even Pretty Boy Martin knows it's tough to be drawn dead before the flop.
Aces. I only play aces.
Aside from, maybe the tough decisions, I think the game is going to play at a nice clip here, Neil.
Yeah, I think they're all experienced players. They've all been on TV before,
Nice.
and I don't think they're going to be giving it too much Hollywood for no reason.
Pass. Raise, just 6,000 total.
This is, I think, the third time Parkinson's raised. I mean, it's a hand you can raise with. It's definitely a statement about him trying to play some poker at the first level, Neil.
Cool.
Yeah, I mean, I personally, it's not the way I choose to play these things. I can see why he's wanting to get involved while the blinds
Yes.
are cheap. He feels that's the time if you're going to hit flops. I'm not sure whether the King Deuce and the other one he played earlier, I think was 8-5. Not sure whether they should be in his early range, but
He's got a nice spot here. Top pair against second pair. And I mean, raising these blinds is interesting because obviously
10,000.
he's going to get Marrow to call a lot of times,
Call.
and Frazer as well. It's a big bet from Marrow, nearly pot size, Neil, called quickly by Padraig.
yeah, this is an interesting card to come
Check.
off now because Padraig's picked up the up and down straight flush
20,000.
draw, and obviously Paul's now got two
Raised.
pairs, so they could all go in here.
25,000 more.
I mean, who's got the equity here?
Call.
Quick call from Padraig.
Yeah, Padraig's done everything very quickly in this hand. I'm a big one for varying the tempo of my calls and raises in order to try and get action or stop action on later streets.
It all happened. 45,000 in on the turn, and now that Padraig's missed,
Call.
All in.
he's out. Is he out?
He's basically out, yeah. I mean,
17.
Paul Marrow's got two pair, and yeah, Padraig moved in on the river. The ace came down, and he felt he could represent something there.
9 hands.
It all happened rather quick, Jesse. I mean, certainly when we saw the turn card come down and it was up and down straight flush draw against two pair, we expected all the money to go in. I didn't quite expect it to go in like that.
I thought I'd won the pot, because this guy's liable to have anything, you know. He's a pretty tricky guy. But then he said, call. I thought that was a bit strange, because I thought he'd bet. But I thought he meant good call, that I win. Then he's turned over 10s and 8s. And I know he's not winding me up. He's a nice guy. I get on very well with him. It was just pretty weird the way the whole thing worked out.
Huge situation. I mean, turn of events for the Dice Man, who now with over 200K, you know, could do whatever he wants on this table. I mean, among the other things, there was an interesting spot for Parg. I guess it checked the turn, but it didn't look like a dangerous card on the turn, or did it? You know, it was,
well, I guess on the turn, I mean, he had such a massive hand. He's looking to get some money into this pot now. You know, obviously it was a massive drawing hand, but I mean, he's got a pair in the up and down straight flush draw. I mean, I think I have to go broke with his hand.
Raised to 6,000 total.
There's no harm in calling either, but raising.
when Martin looks at this, he's big blind against the Surinder small blind raise. Is there a trap in here, or is it just re-raise the play? Or is there no reason to make the pot too big?
Yeah, this is tricky actually. He's he probably has it in his mind that Surinder's one of the tighter players on the table. Most people, if you ask them, will tell you that Surinder's a bit of a rock.
Oh, so that was a move.
And he doesn't want to build an enormous pot out of position in the early
He's
stages.
in position. He's in position.
I'm sorry, is he?
Yeah, he's in the big. It's big blind, small blind.
Oh, I'm sorry. I do apologise.
Go ahead.
Very confused by the fact that Porry got knocked out early.
Check now. Trap check.
Massive flop for Surinder.
Well, it's a massive flop for everybody, isn't it? William Martin's flop. He's got an overcard in the nut flush draw, and Surinder's managed to raise a 6-3, obviously knowing that a 3 and a 3 was coming. This lucky charm that he's got is this is definitely going to get a second use at this rate.
Oh my gosh! Look at that card.
William Martin's now hit a pair of aces and the nut flush draw, and it's hard to see how Surinder's not going to potentially double up here. I would have thought. Surinder's got to think for a long time and bet somewhere in.
Oh my gosh!
Oh my word!
Did it go check on the turn?
Obviously went check on the turn, Jesse. Yeah, and well, this is very messy now. The lucky charm may be withdrawn from circulation.
I mean, Martin has at no time revealed the strength of his hand. You know, pre-flop, he put a little bet in on the flop.
Yeah, the most surprising thing about the whole thing is that the pot currently stands at 30,000. I guess William's going to have to make a value bet of somewhere in the region of 25.
Is Surinder? Has he checked for pot control here, Neil?
I mean, he figures there's no point. There's no point betting.
13.
Yes, he's went for the value bet of 13,000 and Surinder called. So he wasn't too greedy. I mean, that doesn't look like a perfect river card, does it, if you're Surinder Sunar? It's brought a straight, it's brought a flush.
It was quite an amazing hand. I mean, you know, we go on and on about Surinder's survival skills. I mean, you know, he's taken 7 bullets to different, you know, orifices in his body, and he's what has he got? Half his stack?
Oh, I think Surinder was hoping to sell a bit more deception in his hand, and thought that if he checked the turn, he'd give William a chance to bet. He'd be able to check call and see what happened from there.
Interesting check on the turn from William. I mean, this has all gone very funny, really.
Yeah, William was the one that you would have expected to bet on the turn, and if he did bet on the turn, there's a good chance that Surinder would have gone all in.
Total.
Here comes Vicky.
Pass.
He was scared of something.
Pass. Call.
Yeah, this is I think we were saying earlier that we thought that Paul Marrow could be a bit of a nutter. This is kind of the sort of thing we were probably thinking about. I mean, there are times where you just look down and think, okay, I'm just going to give up my blind, especially early on in the tournament where the blinds are so small.
Yeah, he's not like that. I mean, you were talking about this hand he played against Kenna James. You were at the table. He turned over Jack 4 at the end. And I mean, the reason it was incredible was because he played a hand with nothing in such a way all the way through the hand that there was no way he could have nothing, which is what he's doing here.
18,000.
If you don't know what Paul's cards are and you're sitting there in Vicky's seat, you're probably saying to yourself, okay, he's defended his blind. He could. We don't really know what that means. It could be anything. On the flop, he's check called. That's the actions often of someone that's on a draw. And then when he's bet a smallish amount, he's bet 18 into a pot of 33. Maybe he's going to trying to get a cheap way of catching his draw. So she's perhaps worried that he's got a bigger flush draw than her. Or maybe, she's thinking, he could have a smaller flush draw. Well, there's a good card for Vicky because now she's actually got some showdown value. She's hit the top pair with a pair of kings. But if Paul bets strong here, she's got to worry because she was really calling in the hope that she would hit a straight or hit a flush. And hitting her king is nice, but it's not quite what she was after.
And that is the picture. That is the dice man. I mean, that is the package, Neil. Nothing before the flop, less on the flop, even less on the turn, and worse on the river.
It's twice you raised my big blind.
Yeah, it's very difficult. Yeah, he said it's twice you raised my big blind. I mean, it's
Has anyone recently left you?
He just spent 100,000 being upset about 2. And wow, look at what he's got now. Preparation is the root of all victory. We'll see who's got their game in gear after the break. Welcome back. Teacups and tea cozies on this table. I think it was the Irish Open that you won, Neil. There was a hand that occurred on one of the TV tables on the second day or third day with Surinder. He had 3.5 big blinds, and somehow
that's about it.
He managed to bet on every street and still have chips left on the river. I can't exactly remember.
Come on, Vicky, fought it.
Vicky asked Surinder about a hand that they played in 2001, and Martin wanted to know about a hand from Ireland last year. And Surinder said his memory recall lasts for exactly 5 hands played. It's a large gap there.
It's actually a total bluff by Surinder. He really remembers things from 2 years ago, but he's just claiming not.
He knows if he re-raises, he's getting called. I mean, she's not bluffing about the chips in her hand, is she?
It's 26 more on top of that, so
I think she's going to put them in and gamble. She's got chips out there now. Made it 12 to go, leaving herself
the stop go.
24 more. Right. Williams decided just a flat call with the ace-9.
Go after the flop.
To me, this is only a good play if he's guaranteed to move it in on any flop.
Wow.
Let's go.
Any flop that doesn't
Don't make it
contain
a
an ace.
weird flop, for God's sake.
What's weird?
Well, like, actually, I would not say.
You should have kept 3,000 back.
Come on, hit the flop.
Let's
hit the flop.
She may have gone all in the dark here.
Ooh,
Yeah, she said she'd gone all in on the dark, but
well, that's good at the moment. But I've got a straight flush draw.
Oh, you won't lose them, will you?
It's unlikely.
In a way,
a slim possibility.
I mean, there was something kind of interesting about going all in the dark out of position because it took the stop and go away from William Martin.
yeah, and if he doesn't hit an ace, it works quite well. But
there it is.
It's not a perfect card, but it is red, and it does have Vicky drawing live.
There is one in the deck. I read about it.
King of hearts is coming. There.
There, Vicky's hit a king. She's made it straight on the river.
I played that really well. What do you think?
Of course, you got him really trapped there.
She's actually, I don't think she, I think she's.
Well, what do you know?
Wow. Happy enough about still being in, but
excellent play.
Thank you very much.
Possibly not really bothered.
Yeah.
I know. I'm so unlucky. I might be able to show things I
pretty boy
cannot
Martin.
Hit.
He cared about that pot. This one needs some talking to. Let's hear what Nick Brousseau has to say.
Well, Vicky got out of that one nicely, didn't she, Nick? But this all in the dark, I mean, things that happen in the dark, it's going on all the time now.
Yeah, I mean, it's been used for quite a while. Marcel Lisk was a big fan of it. David Williams used it on the World Series final table. People have been using this move a long, long time. Me personally, I've never really used it. I can understand why people do use it. If they check in the dark, they believe that they're making the person who has real position act first, and then it comes back to them. Vicky, in this case, moved half of her chips in. She was basically committed to the hand before the flop, and she hit a miracle.
Yeah, but what if you close your eyes and then check and don't actually let the other person know that you've not looked?
I've seen people do this at the poker table as well. I've seen people call a bet and then literally turn their chair around and then make it really, really clear that they haven't seen the flop. I'm an online player. Maybe I should be asking one of the sites to have a check in the dark button.
At the end of the day, though, William Martin never folding top pair, and Vicky, that's what they call it, runner. She had to run back to her seat.
Ian Frazer's going to be on the button here. I mean, he's clearly, you know, the bad news for him, I think from his point of view, is he feels like he's sitting there watching the Paul Marrow show tonight. Good news, of course, is he has a ringside seat.
Well, the great news for him is that Paul Marrow has to act before him, so he gets a chance to see what Paul's going to do before he has to commit any chips. Also, good news for him is when it's folded around him, he's stealing from two smaller stacks, Vicky, Coren and Surinder Sunar. So it's not all bad news for Frazer.
Looks like Marrow's going to go for the raise here with the King 10 on the button.
Right.
So I thought it was Frazer on the button, but he's actually in the small blind. I'm suffering from, I think it's perhaps button lag. Now, what is this about? Is this serious?
Yeah, I mean, Ian figures to himself, you know, we've got to this next level. There's a bit more money out there generally to steal. He's got a good stack for stealing and re-raising. He hasn't picked a very good hand to do it with. It generally looks a bit stronger if you do it from the small blind. You've got the big blind behind you, and you're selling the idea that, well, I've got a big hand, I wouldn't do it from this situation with an extra person behind me. But the problem is, first of all, Paul Marrow's got sort of half a hand in King 10, and secondly, he's got this enormous chip stack, so he's not really looking to pass too many hands early on.
And great news for Frazer in that Marrow missed. I mean, if Marrow hits there, I mean, Frazer could be out. He can now kind of safely go all in and feel like he's got equity no matter what.
Well, yeah, I mean, Frazer's hit a great flop here. He's up and down. With an overcard to the flop and up and down, he's close to 50-50 in this one, and so he's done absolutely the right thing and moved all in. This is a big pot for him. It's a pretty big pot generally, but it's a particularly big pot for Frazer. Personally, I wouldn't have chosen to re-raise with Ian's stack in that situation. He's first of all, he had Vicky to act still behind him, and she might have found a hand, and secondly, Paul Marrow, it's not conclusive yet that he's the best punter to be taking on in terms of re-raising all in. We haven't seen enormous amounts of evidence that he's capable of passing a big hand or passing any kind of hand. I mean, he didn't flinch very much about folding King 10 here, and he called it pretty easily. I mean, now he's seriously contemplating calling basically just with the two overcards.
And he is contemplating calling. I mean, he's not winding up Ian.
No, he's not messing around, and I think he is going to call. There we are. He's called, and
he's actually a favorite here.
Yeah, I mean, he's probably thinking to himself, well, I'm about 3-1 to hit one of my two cards. As it happens, he doesn't need to hit one of his two cards. He just needs Ian not to hit. He's already ahead with King High.
Frazer all in. The deuce, the 4, the 7, or the jack. It's an odd combination, but there you go.
Yeah, he's got plenty of outs. It's almost a coin flip, and not so good now for Ian.
Is the razor. This is his one big play. Catch it in.
Yeah, he made it straight on the river, so yeah, I mean, I absolutely no problem at all with Ian pushing all in on the flop, but I do question the pre-flop play. Paul Marrow, well, a slightly unusual call really to call that flop bet, but he obviously felt that he had two live cards and he had to hit one of them, and that's going to happen about 1 in 4 times. and every now and then he might be in front, but not quite sure how he
Lovely
figured out
that, isn't
that
it? I
King
knew he
High
was
might
that
have been in front. But
Well, I thought you would have to.
anyway, it worked out for Frazer. He hit it straight on the river.
That's how you win $1 million in this format. Huge result here is that Ian Frazer, 146,000.
Doesn't matter
I
what
mean,
I
he'll
have.
consider
What did you
himself
have?
favorite now.
Yeah, I mean, it'll be interesting to see how
could have been getting
Paul
a
Marrow
few
reacts.
days
I
off.
mean, there's a bit of a chunk out of his stat, but he's still got around about 200,000.
Call.
It looked kind of standard for what he usually goes through in a tournament. And obviously,
Told you how they
the
do.
tournament he won was in Killarney. I would imagine that hand would have played well down there.
Yeah, absolutely.
probably
Frazer,
outshot me
obviously,
there,
he's making a few visits to Ireland these days. I'm pretty sure he's come across Paul before. Paul's the kind of bloke that people are always talking about. Whenever you're in a bar in Ireland at a poker tournament, there's always some fella coming up saying, God, you'll never guess what this mad English guy just did to me. And they always seem to be pointing at Paul Marrow. So I guess Fraser's going to know that this guy can be a bit of a loony.
This looks like something's going to happen here.
Yeah, this is a tricky situation for Surinder. He's flopped top pair. There is a flush draw out there. Paul's flopped 2 pair. I'd have thought Paul might want to have a bet on this flop with a flush draw out there, but he's chosen not to.
Everybody's limped, and this is the problem, of course. Surinder's hand limping with the ace-3, right? This is what happens sometimes.
Well, with the multiple limping, it's Paul's probably thinking, well, no one else has really got an ace, seeing as they just limped in. So I don't really want to shop my hand here and give away the strength too early by betting with my aces up. Just hope that there's not a spade on the turn and make a little bet on the turn, probably.
How do you anticipate Surinder is going to react to this? I mean, easy pass, checked flop, serial bluffer, checking the flop, betting the turn, top pair.
Well, there's no such thing as an easy pass for Surinder. He has to give us the full half-an-hour treatment, but I think he's going to throw it away.
Call.
Ah, there you go. He's proved me absolutely right. He managed to call 18,000. I don't really like this call, though, because, well, obviously I can see the hands, and I hate to be an expert with the cards in front of me, but I'm not quite sure what his intention is. He's out of position.
For the river, you mean?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, if he's calling 18,000, is his plan to just check call on the river? What kind of bet is Paul Marrow likely to make? There's quite a bit of money in the pot now. There's 54,000. If Paul Marrow bets 30 grand, is Surinder really going to call him and put 50,000 in without showing an ounce of aggression in the whole hand? If he does that, I think that'll be pretty horrible play. But then if he's going to just fold, what's the point of calling on the turn?
Right, because this had to be expected.
Yeah, I mean, if you couldn't predict that Paul Marrow was going to bet the river when you checked to him, you haven't really been watching the game. I mean, it just seemed obvious to me that Paul was going to bet this kind of bet. And if Surinder's not really prepared to call it, well, then he was only calling on the turn to try and hit 2 pair, and if he'd have done that, he'd have sent himself broke.
Call.
He's called, and Marrow's going to show him the 2 pair. And, I mean, what do you think the overriding factor was there for Surinder?
Well, I think he's well aware of the fact that Paul Marrow's making, a few moves in this thing, and he thinks he can't keep having a hand. A few scare cards came down, and he's probably thinking this is a situation where he's got a really big hand or nothing at all. Well, here it is for Surinder. He's effectively all in the big blind. He's got 10 of his 19,000 invested. Even he can't pass for the extra 9 here, I'm sure.
24,000 total.
It's not really a huge hand for William Martin. Do you feel like he kind of wants to take Surinder out?
Well, he knows that Surinder's got a call with anything.
Check that out. It's protection. I wonder if it's a hand that...
look.
There's every chance that it plays...
Well, there you go.
Well, there's not
Ian Fraser's moved all in with a pair of 10s. And now Surinder started to think about it.
I mean, effectively, there is an odd situation here
What's
now.
his realize?
85.
85 total. Okay, that's fine.
Which is that he would be getting 2 to 1 on his money rather than...
All in.
He's made a quick decision. Even if he's up against a big
got ace
hand,
king?
the price is nice.
Well, he's
Nine.
he's actually praying he's up against ace king because then he's getting the right price for his hand with the extra money in there.
Right? Sorry,
William Martin
it
for
wasn't 9. It was 9. I mean, he's getting actually like 8 to 1 on his money
So
here.
it goes in the pot.
He's actually got the right.
What was his original bet?
Only 19 goes in the pot.
Only 19 goes in, yeah.
Right. Put 20 in, take one out. Please.
It's
19.
actually it's
Yeah.
19 times 3 plus 5, which
You
is
Then
get,
at
you get the rest.
67, is it? 62. I think.
62. 62.
So it was 9 to win 62,
62.
effectively, which is
That's a lucky number.
7 to 1.
Yeah, 63.
He's actually basically pretty close to the price against the 2 10s, isn't he?
Yeah.
Amazing, really.
Give him a
Absolutely
10.
nailed on here.
What do you think?
Give him a 10.
No,
Spade
I don't want a 10.
flush. I think that's his best bet.
With a 7
here,
8
you know.
before the 10 though.
Well, he's at a 9.
Threes
There's,
and 9.
He's nearly nailed
Yeah.
on, isn't he? Is he
Well,
favourite yet?
William Martin threw away one of the 9s,
Give me a 10
so
now, I don't mind.
there weren't any other 6s out in the other hands, though.
One card to come. Roll it lucky, Dice Man.
And there's an ace.
I like you, man.
Good luck, guys.
I mean, he definitely gave it a lot of his all tonight.
The game didn't really go too good for me right from the beginning. You know, I tried to play aggressive at the beginning to get a lot of chips so I can really maneuver after, but every time I raised, somebody re-raised me and I had to throw away big hands.
What do you make of Willie Martin's mental state right now? I mean, how is he feeling about the pace of the game?
It's kind of weird, isn't it? He doesn't look totally comfortable with the way things are going. I think he's suffered a little bit with Paul Marrow getting that big stack early on, and that's meant he's had a hard spot for stealing generally. Vicky's moved all in here again. As I said, that the chances whenever it's passed around her, she's looking to get the whole lot in. But Paul Marrow's
You're winning at the
instantly
moment.
cool
Yeah,
with
But you
with
won't be
a
after the
well. This is fairly surprising from Paul. He's got 164,000. Vicky's moved all in for around about 60 odd, and he's insta-called her with Jack 8 suited. A hand that's not likely to be beating the range of hands that people generally move all in with. Maybe he's done his homework on Vicky and knows that she's quite capable of moving all in with slightly substandard hands, and she.
Wow.
Well, this is a big flop. Everybody's flopped something. Vicky's flopped 2 pair and Paul's flopped top pair.
Yeah, I mean, Vicky all in. What a flop, and she's still only 62%. I mean, it's obviously better than she was before, but she's got to dodge twice, several cards, and that, bam, right away, has pretty much sent her skinning.
Yep, she needs to pair up now to make a full house.
Good luck. Have fun.
And Vicky Coren out in 4th.
I don't know who's going to win it. You know, it seems like Paul Marrow is, you know, he's got a lot of chips and he's hitting cards when he needs to, and he certainly doesn't back down easily. If I was giving one of them my money to play with, it would probably be Ian Frazer.
Welcome back, Neil Channing and myself. Eyes peeled. Quite an amazing heat, actually. This European Open 5 is, I don't know. It's been a real sort of different exploration into this. Hello. Was it the 5th time we've seen aces?
Certainly have been quite a few pairs of aces and kings out there, and 3-handed to have all these big hands coming out.
Re-raise round, just push it all in.
To 34,000 total.
Paul's kind of been
34,000.
It's kind of talking William through that. It's nearly a min raise here, Neil. 3 reds and 2 blues. He'd
Call.
kind of be insulted not to take that discount, is what Marrow's thinking. Obviously, William wants him to get a piece of the flop. Most flops, William's going to stick out a little feeler bet there and try and induce something, right?
Yeah, and look here, Paul manages to flop bottom pair, so yeah, I would have thought William would have a little bet at it, maybe bet his 38,000 or
34,000.
Oh, there we go.
34,000.
All in.
All in? Just pass me a 34.
I guess Marrow could say to himself, he's expecting me to pass.
70,000 more.
If he folds here, it's definitely going to even everything up a lot.
Got quite a good price here, doesn't he?
I can't really see Paul calling. He has done quite a lot of calling tonight, but he's going to really cripple himself if he calls. Huh?
It's nearly 3 to 1.
Oh,
Is he
there you go.
lower than 25% equity? Maybe against this hand, but against against a certain range of hands. I mean, I guess any hand that is better than 2 threes. He's not in great shape against. But.
William Martin's going to be pretty sick if he loses this one.
It is Martin all in. Paul Marrow's got about 150,000 back.
It's a pretty safe card.
3 or 6. He doesn't want to look. Can't say I blame him.
No.
Sorry, mate.
No worries, man.
He's taken that very well.
He has taken that very well. He certainly didn't look too confident going into that turn.
That was a bit of a beat to put on someone.
I've been very impressed by William Martin tonight.
Yeah, he played very well. I would say in the times I've played with William Martin, I have played with him quite a few times in the last year, he's shown a little bit of impetuosity, occasionally makes the odd rash move, which he later regrets. I didn't see him doing a lot of that tonight. I thought he played very well. He played a controlled game, had some good cards, good hands, and he got the most out of most of them.
Yeah, and obviously played the aces to get on. Did get on by the time all the money went in, like 82%. But these things happen. 6 on the river, 3s and 6s, 2 pair, and we're gonna go heads up. How great a game is poker. You can watch 10,000 games a day for 10,000 years, and still someone will show you something new. The Dice Man, Paul Marrow's come to this table and just brought clubs out of the bag that you think are magic wands. He's the chip leader now. There's something about him. But if he wants to seal his place in poker history, Neil Channing, he has got to get through the man whose name is on the trophy, the badge, and the brand, Ian Frazer.
He's great in the format, isn't he, Frazer? Unbelievable.
Good shot, mate.
I mean, it's beyond that. I mean, how has Frazer done it? This has been a different approach for him, a workman-like one. He's only won 14 hands, 20% bet frequency.
I love it, actually. I think Ian Frazer's he's really impressed me, and he's played with patience and control. And I don't think it'll worry him that he doesn't have a chip lead here heads up. I think he thinks he's 50-50 to win it.
Price.
Now,
Is it ace-jack? If it is ace-jack, Marrow's in trouble. If it's not, Marrow's in good shape.
The worst ways it's going to be king-jack, isn't it? We've only seen the jack so far. It is king-jack. So there's not too much in it. It's about 60-40.
Yeah, I mean, what's in it, obviously, is that Marrow's got 150,000 back.
Yeah, absolutely. So Ian Frazer needing to hit to take the chip lead. And he has hit, but he's got to survive an ace on the turn or river. He's going to have a chip lead of 4-4-4.
Yeah, depends. I'm not sure how I feel about
the
it.
queen up. So Ian looking for a low card.
Anything but the ace.
Absolutely. There you go.
Wow, and that 4-4-4, that's clearly his highest chip count tonight.
Yeah, and Paul Marrow, he's down on 1-5-6, so But you know, it's not dead and buried yet. It can still change quite quickly.
No, and I mean, you know, Paul Marrow will feel like, hey, it's a shame that one went there. He's now had 2 chances, once in a 50-50 spot and once in a 60-40. He can start feeling like he's actually gotten a bit unlucky. I mean, you know, he can start and continue feeling like he's been a bit unlucky. He has.
A call.
And a call.
All in and a call. I'm thinking 10-6 is beat, but...
Well, there you go. That's Paul there. This is the second time in this heat he's insta-called with the old Jack-8.
It's been lucky for him.
He's definitely not afraid to gamble, is he? Yeah, Ian Frazer definitely had the plan, I think, I'm just going to move all in every button now, and that's a fairly reasonable plan, I would have said, with his chip lead.
Jack high right now. Look at nice little favorite here.
Yeah, it's looking good for him. Just wants to dodge a 10 and a 6 on the turn of river. Oh, there's the 6. So Ian Frazer going to win unless a Jack or an 8 comes out.
Wow.
Wow.
Huh. And I'll tell you what. I mean, Marrow was pretty simple, but Frazer, wow, he had that. He all of a sudden, I think he never celebrates too early. But I think that time, Neil, he might have allowed himself to say, I got it. Look at this one. I mean, the game face for Frazer all the time. But surely, when that 6 came on the turn, he had to sort of say to himself, yes, get in there, you devil. The Jack on the river, and Marrow's got a little fight back in him.
I know, but I've been under the hammer.
Maybe Frazer would be dangerous in the semi-final, and on the other hand, that Marrow could be dangerous. I mean, both of these guys, right now, they're both looking very dangerous.
Yeah, it's funny. I was thinking that throughout this particular heat, I was thinking who would I quite like to have in my semi-final, and well, I don't think I wouldn't really have wanted any of the 6 players that turned up for this particular heat. So
here we go again.
Here we go, we get another showdown. Frazer's shoved the whole lot in. Marrow's called with ace-3. I think that's quite a natural call. Any ace heads up is a pretty strong hand.
Wow, and basically all the chips in the tournament are in this pot. So whoever wins, unless there's a split pot, this is going to be kind of decisive, isn't it?
Yeah, Paul Marrow will be left with 4,000, I think, if he doesn't win. But he's hit the front on the flop. It doesn't look too good for Ian Frazer.
You need a diamond, mate.
Has Marrow done it? Diamond?
Diamond or running 2 pair, I guess. Not too clever now.
It's over.
It's over.
The Dice Man.
Yep, and he's got him covered, so I think they're just going to add up the chips, but Ian Frazer's not going to get any change. Paul Marrow has come through.
Well, I mean, you know, full credit to Marrow. He kept stuck with his game plan start to finish, didn't he, Neil? I mean,
just got you covered.
You got to say, though, that Frazer, I mean, he showed a lot new stuff tonight. He's made it through the turbo rounds before. No reason he can't do it again. There's a new poker star in town, and his dress is pedestrian compared to his game. I mean, Paul, that was spectacular. Congratulations.
Thank you very much, Jesse.
And, I mean, you came in here with a bang, made some huge bluffs, and then, I mean, you beat, like, the best guy ever in this format just for your first time on the table. It was something else.
Thank you. I just tried to play the best I could. A couple of times, I mean, I got lucky with the 3-6 against the aces, but I don't put him on aces there. I put him on ace-king or ace-jack. I've hit me 3.
Commiserations, Ian Frazer, but I mean, there again, basically that entire heat, card dead, and then 1 card away actually from the semi-final.
I know it is amazing, this game. It's, you know, that was what I was saying to Paul. If he'd have seen my cards, what I've had through the heat, it is unreal. But I gave myself a chance, and I was 1 card away from going through it.
Well, you're going to go through the turbo round again. I mean, you've been there before. You could do it again. But Paul, first time here in this format, going through to the semi-finals. I mean, what are your expectations?
Go and win it.
Let's go and win it.
Best of luck to both you guys in the next round. It is Paul Marrow into the semifinals. That second semifinal is filling up. Next time, Julian Thew sits down with the ladies here on the Party Poker European Open 5. It'll be fire and brimstone when the ladies take to the table, along with a yo-yo man and an Irish wind-up merchant. Check us out on the European Open 5.